know what I mean.
The job was a success, and V obviously has some money to burn.
Hey, sup, V? Look, I need to talk to you. Got news as big as my balls.
And I got a hot date with my Ripper Doc.
Come on, Aina, make the doc wait. Pull some pants on your culo and get down here. Subway entrance, and bring your iron.
Okay, Jackie has just told us that he has some big news for us, and we have an appointment with our Ripper Doc today. Before we leave, let's take a good look around our apartment. Good morning, Night City. The song on the radio is by rocker boy Johnny Silverhand. It's part of our creative process to draw inspiration from the pen and paper system, created by Mike Pondsmith, and to put our own 2077 spin on it.
Welcome to NeoUnrealist. NPC. For those of you who don't play video games, that stands for non-player character. It's a term that originated in the world of actually tabletop role-playing games decades ago. The first place I ever encountered it was the fantasy role-playing game Dungeons and Dragons. I'm pretty sure they probably originated it. A single person, if you don't know what D&D is, they'd act as a storyteller and a referee, basically, for a group of players, usually sitting around a table, and the players, they'd be controlling characters in the fantasy game world, described by the Dungeon Master, where they'd play like an elf wizard, or a dwarf fighter, or a human cleric, or whatever. And any other character that wasn't a player character, usually controlled by the Dungeon Master, was called a non-player character. Now, as you can imagine, when video games began to get made, a lot of the tropes and terminology from tabletop gaming made its way into the digital realm. So when massively multiplayer online role-playing games began to get made, NPCs, they were understood to be those characters not controlled by a human player. They were run by the game's crude AI and code, and of course with the current limitations on game AI being very crude, they can only behave and interact in a set of pre-programmed patterns, and they have a limited set of dialogue responses when you talk to them. So if you're playing World of Warcraft, you run up to a game character that just stands there. You might even have a big exclamation point over his head to indicate to you that he has a quest for you or a mission for you to go on. You talk to it, and it can only say so much. I mean, the responses are scripted, it's canned, and they're usually, for most NPCs, they're very limited in scope. So no matter how many times you go up to that character, and no matter what you do or say, the NPC's only ever going to respond with canned, pre-programmed words that it's been programmed to say. Enter 4chan. Toward the end of summer, on the video games board, it became a topic of conversation about a theory that there were only so many genuine human souls to go around, and that due to the prolific fertility of the human race, more human bodies had been created than there are human souls to animate them. And according to the theory, this results in a large number of soulless people without the capacity for critical thought, self-direction, agency, that they give every superficial appearance of being a human with agency, but if you observe their behavior and their speech, you see that invariably they adhere to groupthink, and that they have a limited set of responses to anyone trying to have a real conversation with them about something, deep or outside the narrow range of acceptable thought. This conversation started to cross over onto Twitter in early September, and that's when I started getting wind of it. I even considered doing a video on the topic, I think it was 2 weeks ago, but I just didn't because all the Kavanaugh Supreme Court stuff was going on, and the NPC stuff, it just got overshadowed by that, at least for me. Anyway, I also figured, this will die out like most memes. But no! Kotaku, they went and published an article on the meme last week, and once again, unwittingly handed 4chan the great power to push what was an obscure conversation going on some boards on 4chan into the wider political sphere. The social justice obsessed far left took great exception to the meme, and of course they they couldn't see that the only people who would express such reflexive hate for the NPC meme and make such a big deal out of it would themselves probably be NPCs. So what happens is, the 4chan virtuous circle of origination and amplification of their idea, it just started to get them to push the idea even more because they saw that the left was triggered. And it triggers the left more when the idea gets amplified back again, and the cycle of escalation turns it into one of the best memes ever churned out of the chaos that is 4chan. So what you have is a perfect storm, where the NPC meme comes at a time when a whole other group of people, they've proposed that the real world, what we perceive as reality, is actually a very complex simulation being run on a computer-like device. This stuff is at least as old as Descartes, in the philosophical terms, because, the think, therefore I am guy, if you follow philosophy. But today, that torch is being carried by people like Nick Bostrom over at Oxford, Elon Musk, and it may sound like a bunch of bullshit, but here's the basic hypothesis in a nutshell. That one of these statements is very likely to be true. Number one, that the number of, or percentage of human-level civilizations that reach a post-human stage is very close to zero. That's to say, advanced past the point of our current technological level, where they could run simulations that are indistinguishable from what we call reality. Number two, that the number of post-human civilizations interested in running simulations of their ancestors is very close to zero. So in this one, they're saying the possibility is that there might be human civilizations with that kind of technology, but they just wouldn't be interested in running simulations of their ancestors. Number three, the fraction of all people with our kind of experiences that are living in a simulation is very close to 1 or 100%. In that one, the possibility is that, hey, we're all living in a simulation, because the odds are just that. Now, you can go in circles with this stuff. And it's not just the philosophers like Bostrom or eccentric billionaires like Elon Musk arguing over this stuff. You've even got cosmologists, theoretical physicists thinking about this very topic. I mean, here's Sean Carroll writing about it. He's a physicist at Caltech who specializes in dark energy and general relativity. A man who gets paid professionally by one of the world's leading universities to answer questions about the scale, the structure, properties, nature, origin, evolution, and possible fate of the universe. Anyway, the point is not to keep going off on this tangent about simulation hypothesis. The point is that the meme comes about at a time when this more serious discussion had been going on already for a few years in the background in scientific and philosophical circles. Now, I find the whole leftist triggering, about this to be very funny. Oh, it's dehumanizing. It's dehumanizing. Fascists. Is it not the left that every day graces Twitter with tweets calling anyone and everyone on the right sock puppets or Russian bots? So the left can call people on the right literally fake Twitter accounts controlled by Russian intelligence personnel and affiliated computer coders. That's not dehumanizing, but call some SJW chanting repetitively, "No Nazis, no KKK, no Fascist USA" over and over, when there's never any Nazis or KKK or fascists to be found. That's dehumanizing. And it seems like this lack of self-awareness is the stuff that an NPC might exhibit, dare I say. Anyway, I don't want to go much further with this. I'll put some links below to where you can find out more about it if you're interested. I just think that the NPC thing bothers leftists because it tends to fit the stereotypical blue-haired intersectional feminist screeching about racist, sexist, homophobes, the patriarchy. And unlike the SJW moniker, which you can at least find some appeal in it, with the last word being warrior, there's nothing flattering about being associated with directionless automatons like NPCs without any agency or critical thought of their own. That's all for this NeoUnrealist. Like the video, comment, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell while you're at it. Now, if you want to support the channel monetarily, follow the Patreon or PayPal links in the description below, or use the tip pledge button if you're watching on BitChute. Now, if you're still watching this at this point, then you'll understand my meaning when I thank you for watching, And I'll just say that I used to be an adventurer like you, until I took an arrow in the knee.
We finished the job, but our story is just beginning. This concludes our gameplay demo walkthrough. Thanks for watching.